A get-home bag can be one of the most important things you have to be able to get home in case of an emergency, whether or not that's from your work, from school, or from wherever you're at that's not at your home. But what's the bare minimum requirements for a get-home bag? In this video, we're going to talk about the bare minimum you need to make sure you have all the gear that will get you back home safely. Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and today we're talking about bare minimum for your get-home bag. If maybe you're new to prepping, or you know somebody else who is new to the idea of disaster preparedness, and they want to put together a get-home bag, but there's a limited budget or limited space or whatever it might be. So what are the bare minimum essentials you need to be able to make your way back home? I put that together right here in this bag so that you can kind of see what I feel might be your bare minimum essentials. And obviously this is just a regular old backpack because we're talking about maintaining a budget level that's friendly and at the same time having some kind of a gray man status if possible. Now my get home bag is a little bit different because of my location. So a lot of the things in this bag might vary based on your environment. However, I wanted to show you what I felt was the bare minimum. So we're gonna go ahead and take this bag apart. I'm gonna show you everything that's inside of it. We're gonna go through the pieces of kit that are within so you can have an idea as to why you may or may not need those items, especially based on your environment. And if you're worried about SHTF style scenarios and having to get back home during an emergency event, then hit the subscribe button below, because these conversations should help you become more prepared and help you actually get others more prepared around you as well. So let's get into the bag, start pulling all the guts out, and then give you some idea as to what that bare minimum really looks like. All right, so this is the bare minimum get home bag. It's a very cheap scout style backpack, right? Nothing fancy, and it doesn't give away any idea that you're tactical or that you have a bunch of gear or anything like that. So it's cheap, it's budget friendly. I had this laying around anyway, so that's a big point, that you can utilize any backpacks you might already have. And then it's just standard. There's no waist strap or anything like that. It's just standard shoulder straps. And like I said, it doesn't give away your position, but it also helps you maintain that budget level. So you don't need something crazy or super durable. You're just trying to get home from wherever you are during an emergency. All right, so moving on from there, front pocket is a first aid kit, nice and accessible right in the front just in case it's needed. And this is just a boo-boo kit. This is a basic first aid kit, nothing crazy. It's not an IFAC or a blowout kit or anything like that, because like I said, you're just trying to get through your journey back home. So you don't need anything super substantial, but at least something is important to have, okay? Especially if it helps you just get through whatever's going on. All the basic stuff's in here, but I did also throw in a tourniquet. So having a tourniquet is always important, just because if you ever find yourself in a situation where a bleed out is inevitable, this can help stretch out that lifespan of yours and keep you alive longer. So I have a SWAT T tourniquet right here. They're really compact, easy to stow away, as you can see here in the pouch, and just adds a little bit extra benefit to this first aid setup. Like I said before, it has all that bandage stuff, boo-boo stuff, alcohol wipes, band-aids, everything else you might expect from a little first aid kit like this. Adding that tourniquet makes it a little bit of a step above and can help you through more of a major incident in case that occurs, okay? So first aid kit, put that away, and then we'll move on to side pockets. All right, so in this side pocket right here, this is going to be water treatment. You got to have a way to treat water. Okay, now this is actually a rapid pure filter, which is kind of neat. So basically this treats up to 25 gallons, which purifies it from viruses or anything you can think of that's in the water, and then up to 200 gallons for anything else besides viruses. So 25 gallons should be quite a bit if you're just trying to make it back home, but it has the capability of doing more if need be. So you have your straw here, and you have the actual carbon filter in here that's still in the packaging, because basically by keeping it wrapped up and keeping it packaged, it's going to last longer in storage, and hopefully you find yourself in a situation where you never actually need to use it. But if you do, obviously it's here and ready for you. And make sure you're familiar with this equipment if you're going to be using it, so that way if you do have to deploy it, you're ready to utilize it in the most efficient way possible. Okay, so but having some kind of water treatment, a life straw, having a Sawyer mini, having a couple of iodide tablets, whatever it might be, just make sure you can treat water, because it's very important to stay hydrated. And especially depending on your journey. Is your journey a 10-minute drive, or is it an hour drive? And that's going to make a huge difference as to how much water you're going to have to consume along the way. So I want to be able to treat whatever water source I might come by in case it's the only water source I have access to. Moving on from there, other side pocket. This is cordage. really inexpensive. I think this was $3, right, for 75 feet of paracord. Just have cordage. Always comes in handy. You never know when you're going to need it. And if you have to make a makeshift shelter or whatever it might be, you have the additional cordage and it weighs almost nothing. So there's really no reason not to have more cordage. Very important part of any survival kit. And just keeping in mind that it's not very expensive either, okay? So now let's move into the actual large part of the pack so you can see what we have going on in here. Like I said, this is just some weird scout style pack. Nothing fancy, nothing tactical, but it gets the job done, okay? Do the drawstring here. Okay, so first and foremost, what do we need to survive? We need food, so have some rations, right? This is a 2,400 calorie ration bar. It gets you good to go, at least for a little while on your way back home. Don't be expecting to have to cook or do anything crazy like that. Just utilize this and try to get yourself back to where you need to go. But hopefully if you do have to rely on this, it gets you where you need to go. But if not, then you can at least have gotten yourself that much further before having to worry about how to feed yourself for that next meal. So ration bar is awesome. They have like a 5-year shelf life. You can't go wrong. They're not that expensive, okay? Moving on from there, you gotta have a container, okay? So this is stainless steel, single wall. It's not vacuum sealed. It's not insulated. What that means is that this is a container that you can actually utilize on top of an open flame. So if you need to boil water, if you need to cook something, you can utilize this as a container to do those things. So that's very important. You don't want to have anything that's, double wall insulated or anything like that, because then you cannot utilize it for that purpose if it ever comes down to that. Hopefully you don't need it. And now if you're using this as a get home bag, make sure this is full of water and that you actually swap that water out on a regular basis to maintain its level of purity and to make sure that you're ready to rehydrate yourself in case you ever just need to grab that bag and go. You don't want to have to find water along the way if you could already have this full. And the same thing goes for batteries and everything else like that. So just wanted to mention that. Have a container and make sure that it can carry water. And obviously the water filter I just showed you can go inside of here and then take the water out. So even if you just have to get gross water with the container, you can drink it later with the filter when you have more time. So, moving on from there, another huge survival item right here is going to be a fixed blade knife. You have to have a decent fixed blade knife and you want it to be full tang and able to handle the rigorous efforts of whatever bushcrafting activity you might be exposed to. So this is actually an OKC or Ontario Knife Company Spec Alpha, which is a very budget-friendly knife that's still carbon steel, that's very strong, and it's still full tang. So it'll do the job. It'll get you through whatever you might need to get through just to get back home. And it also can provide a layer of self-defense or whatever else you might need to use it for. So this is a decent knife for how cheap it is. It has a lot of the same similarities of knives in that $80 to $100 range, but yet believe it costs somewhere around $30. So very good knife to have and very good for budget friendliness and something you just need to have in a get home bag. Bare minimum, a fixed blade knife is pretty much considered to be one of the most important necessities of any survival kit. And you have to look at a get home bag as being some type of survival kit. So fixed blade knife, good to go. All right, moving on from there. Have some kind of outside protection, some coverage. And this is a rain jacket because of the season we're in right now. But if it was winter, maybe it would be swapped out for a goose down style jacket that can be easily compacted and stashed away and packed within this backpack. So as you can see, this is a full-on, full-length rain jacket that easily folded up and fit inside here. Have what you need to be able to get through the elements that you're going to be exposed to, especially during the time of year that you're traveling in. So very important part of your gear. Moving on from there, we're going to talk about the rest of your cover, your shelter. This is a Don't Die in the Woods 2-person survival tent. Very cool little product, and it's all self-contained in this little sack here. And what's nice about that is that it's easily deployed. It has everything you need in the bag to be able to put up a shelter for up to 2 people, and it has the Mylar reflection material within it, so that way it can actually keep your body heat, insulating the tent and keep everybody warm and secure throughout whatever environmental conditions you're facing. So having some kind of shelter is important because even though you're just trying to get home, and even though you might be able to walk back home in one day, you don't know what might happen. You don't know what this emergency is that we're talking about. We don't know what it might cause in the sense of conditions to where you might have to bunker down one night before you can get back to where you need to go. And make sure that you can get through whatever environmental conditions are being presented to you with some form of shelter during that time, okay? So this is a cool addition to any kit, and honestly, I'm starting to grab these for all of my bug out bags because it's just a cool product. So definitely check it out if you haven't seen it before, okay? So moving on from there is electronics. And what I mean by that is that a power bank of some kind. This is a Gold Zero Torch 250. Now, Gold Zero makes a lot of good solar products. What's cool is that this one has a crank on it for actually charging the battery as well. You can charge it from a wall charger utilizing the USB, and then it also has the solar panel technology. And it's actually a pretty solid power bank that also has a lantern on the back as well as a flashlight on the front that has a red light and a red light strobe mode, which can allow you to flag down for emergencies, or it can allow you to look and see in the dark without having to give away too big of a footprint utilizing that red light. So this is actually a really cool power bank. And then make sure you have all the cables you need. This is just a cable right here that has an adapter, so it's a USB mini that goes to USB-C. So this will work for my flashlight and my cell phone, and then this will help power both of those devices for as long as I need it to, especially in the sense of just getting back home. So I wanted to show you guys this because this is a really cool product, especially because it does already have the flashlight capabilities as well, and you can hand crank it, solar charge it off of your car battery before you have to take off or whatever you got to do. And I really think it's a nice piece of equipment you can add to any survival kit out there. So just wanted to throw that out there, and make sure you have all the USB cables you need to utilize this device to its full potential, okay? And then also have a wall adapter as well. So a USB outlet adapter is important, so that way if you do come across some form of electricity, if you're at a building or something that has it, but you're still on your way through your journey, you can at least plug this in, charge all your devices, charge the power bank fully, and then keep going for that much longer. So make sure you have that. And then I put my electronics in a plastic bag to keep them dry for obvious reasons, okay? So moving on from there, we will go into really basic stuff here. Clothes, okay? There is a pair of underwear in here, there's a t-shirt in here, and then there's 2 pairs of socks. And then considering what it is you already have on you, which hopefully is 1 pair of socks, a t-shirt, pants, and underwear, the underwear gives you the redundancy of the 2 is 1, 1 is none, and the socks give you the redundancy of the sock factor of being 3 is 1 and 2 is none. Because let's be honest, you go through socks a lot faster than anything else, especially if we're talking about getting home during an emergency where you're literally wearing a backpack and walking into a specific direction. So, and then the t-shirt is just obviously be able to have a full set of changing of clothes, okay? So don't want it to get wet, want to maintain its cleanliness and its dryness, so it's also in a Ziploc bag. And that also applies to pants. So there's also a pair of pants in here, Ziplocs ready to go. These are some camo pants I picked up for a long time ago for $5 back on clearance. So make sure you just have pants that fit you and will actually be rugged enough to get through whatever conditions you might be exposed to, but at the same time, you know, don't spend $100 on pants that are just gonna go sit in a backpack for the next 10 years or who knows how long. But all I'm trying to say is that you gotta have a full change of clothes, and the pants bring that in full circle, all right? So there's only a couple of things left in here, and they're actually in this little pouch right here, which is kind of handy just to have some separation and have some smaller stuff put away. But you also need to have some combustion, have a way to make fire. So a Bic lighter is always a good way to go, gets the job done, easy to use, everybody knows how to flick a Bic, and at the same time, you don't want to struggle with making a fire if you literally have to make one on a get home trip, because that's probably a bad situation. So use a Bic, make it easier on yourself, but at the same time, have one other form of fire starting that doesn't require fuel. And there's just a lot of reasons behind that, but just depending on conditions or what's going on out there, who knows what, you might need to find yourself utilizing something that doesn't have fuel. So have a ferro rod or a magnesium rod or something like that, so that way you can make sure to be able to strike a fire wherever you are, anytime, no matter what. So another 2 is 1, 1 is none situation here, right? Okay, so literally there's nothing else in here, okay? This is the bare minimum. And what's nice about the bare minimum bag is that it's just that. It's very minimalist. It doesn't weigh very much. This bag with water and everything packed up fully was about 15 pounds. And it has everything you need and nothing you don't. And it should just get you to the next step. It should get you to that next place. And this should include your everyday carry. So when I was talking about the power station here, having the cables for both my flashlight and my phone, well, I include my everyday carry as part of my minimalist get home bag because it's always on me. So yes, my flashlight for this bag is my everyday carry flashlight, which is USB rechargeable. It takes a micro USB right here, recharges no problem. It's a Surefire stiletto, and it's a nice flashlight that can easily get the job done and has multiple light settings. So that way during a situation, you can be on low or high or whatever you need and then recharge this light utilizing that. So make sure your everyday carry covers some of your bases as well. AKA like a flashlight. And something else I know you're going to say is missing from this kit right now is a multi-tool, which is part of my everyday carry. So consider your everyday carry part of this kit because it should be in your pockets on your person, ready to go to be utilized for whatever you might run into out there on the road. There's a lot more on my everyday carry, I guarantee you that, especially in the sense of self-defense. But what I'm going to say is that these two are definite necessities you would need if you don't have any EDC on you. So obviously a flashlight and a multi-tool are two things you would want to add to this kit if for some reason you don't carry them on your person at, every single instance of your life, which I basically do. It's really frustrating in the shower. So what I will say is that if you don't have these things, make sure you put a flashlight and a multi-tool in the bag as well, and then make sure if you don't have a flashlight that's purely USB rechargeable, that you have additional batteries for it. And then if you're running things with batteries that you're going to have in this kit, you want to make sure you have a battery charger to utilize with the power bank, and they do make USB battery chargers that you can recharge certain types of batteries with that will go a long ways as well. So definitely things to consider, and I just wanted to make sure to mention that because a lot of people might not everyday carry, and if you don't, then you definitely need these things, a flashlight and a multi-tool in the kit. Having a watch is always a good idea too. It helps keep you on track. It helps keep you, on time when it comes to, sunset and sunrise and everything else that might be important to whatever it is you're doing in the sense of travel. But I don't think it's necessary to survival like some of the items we showed you here. So either way, bare minimum essentials for a get home bag. You just saw them all. Leave it in the comments below if you think there's other ones that we need to talk about. Leave them in the comments below if you think there's other things that this is missing. But just keep in mind when you're commenting that this is supposed to be bare minimum. And in fact, yeah, you could probably cut this down even a little further. If you want to talk about not having any extra clothes, if you want to talk about not needing the jacket, if you want to talk about not needing the shelter because you're just trying to get home and your drive to work is only 10 minutes away, then that's something you can discuss. But these are the things that I could literally leave my truck with, and then if for some reason I was never able to get back home again, well, I have the bare minimum of survival at least with me, and then I can make do with what I have compared to wishing I at least had one more thing or wishing I had a pair of clothes or whatever it might be. So keep those things in mind. Something else you might want to consider, if you're wearing work shoes or high heels or flip-flops or whatever you wear when you leave your home, you would probably want to put an extra pair of sneakers or boots in your car so that wherever your get-home bag is, you have the ability to change into better shoes depending on the situation. So wanted to mention those things. Leave it in the comments below for anything else that you might want to add to this bag. And that is going to be it for Magic Prep.